there's so many pieces to manifesting perfect love that I had to learn along the way. I didn't even realize at the time that I was manifesting. I had no clue about affirmations and manifesting, yet it was happening for me. So for those of you that feel like you don't know enough, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So I remember it like it was yesterday. It was 2014, New Year's, out with my good girlfriend, and I just felt this feeling of being done with dating, tired of the games that men were playing. And in that moment, I felt myself just like, you know what? Have it your way. And I was talking to my higher guidance. I was done doing it my way. My plans that I had, they weren't working out how I thought they would work out. You know, things that it just wasn't going right. And I said, you know what? I surrender. I'm done. Do what you want with me. I'm open. And I went in my phone and I sent out a text to, the guys that I was talking to, dating, like, listen, lose my number. I don't got time for the games. So for me, looking back at it, that was me preparing myself to receive, cutting out those distractions. Me saying I'm done, being sick of my own shit, being sick of all of the stuff I was putting myself through, sick of the things that I was attracting that wasn't aligned with my heart's desires. Me saying done, that means I surrender. I was ready to go with God's will. And so after I did that, I had a whole lot of free time on my hands. I had been fired from my job. And I realized that was God taking me out of my comfort zone and putting me in a place where I can get ready to receive, where I can prepare for the blessing that was on its way to me. So I spent that time, I started reading more. I got into yoga. And what I loved about yoga, it just really calmed down my anxiety. It took me out of my head, put me into my body. And so started doing yoga, started reading different materials that was about mindset, and just started having more fun. We don't talk about that enough, that having fun attracts love. Love wants people that are vibrating highly. Love is attracted to high vibration, joy, peace, laughter. And so I was doing more of that, going out with my girlfriends just to go out and have fun. You know, no intention of meeting someone or trying to find somebody. Now, that didn't mean that I didn't still have the desire. The desire was there. I'm still seeing joints like, oh, he cute, okay. But there wasn't this like desperate need for it. And so focusing on myself, having fun, yoga, I was in a state of flow, a state of surrender. And then one day in February, I hosted my very first intentional vision board party with my girlfriends, and I created this vision board. And I have a special way of creating boards now where I allow spirit to speak through me. And I still didn't think nothing of that. I actually left that vision board at my girlfriend's house for some time. That was in February. And at this time, like I said, I didn't know about affirmations, but I was always like a writer, always journaling. And in my journal, I had wrote down, I am in a mutually loving, healthy, committed, monogamous relationship. And that was it. Kept it moving. That was February. Now I'm going to fast forward to June. Out for my girlfriend's birthday. We're out having a good time. No intention to meet anyone, just to celebrate her life. And at the end of the day, we ready to go home. And I was like, okay, girl, my train is here. I'm going to see you later. But she was like, no, girl, let's walk across walk across 125th Street and you can catch the next train. And me just being open to the flow and enjoying the fun, I'm like, yes, let's do it. 1 block later, a man, he's crossing the street, and my girlfriend is like, what's up? She's really just, outgoing, bubbly, just like me. We'll talk to anybody. So I looked up and I was like, oh yeah, he looked good from the side. He looked cute from the side. And he turned around. He didn't see me. He just heard my voice. He said, who said that? And they were like, she did. And so we all started talking. And, me being from Harlem, he's like, where you from? I'm like, none of your business. Just being myself. That was very important. Being myself. It's those little things that attract someone to you. Now, I'm going to veer off real quick because I was just telling a woman this story about how important it is to be yourself, because before we come here, we have to honor our past lives. We made a contract with some people that when we get here, we're going to meet up again. And one thing that I realized, it's those little quirks about you that draws the person that's for you to you. So let's say in the past life we had a conversation. It's like, when we get to this plane, I'm not going to remember you. I'm not going to know how you look. Well, how will I know it's you? Well, you do this thing with your ear and I'll know. So now you grow up doing this thing, whatever silly, quirky thing that you do. You don't know why you do it. It's unique to you. And one day you do a simple thing and it attracts the attention of the person that's for you. And they have the inclination that I need to go speak to this person. So just being myself, bringing it back to this story, attracted the one for me. We exchanged numbers. And from then on, we just were talking. We went on our first date about 3 days later. From the first date, we sat in a restaurant. We did not order any food because we just talked and talked and talked. And we talked so long that the restaurant closed. They had to kick us out. And we didn't want the date to end, so we walked down to Central Park. And we sat in Central Park and we talked and we talked and we talked. And it was just such a high vibration. We didn't want to leave, but we had to end the night because it was just never going to end. And I got home that night and I told my girls, I texted them, I was like, I met my husband. First date. By the third date, we already was planning a wedding. We was like, okay, we're going to get married next May. 6 months later, he proposed. 11 months later, we were married on May 3rd, 2015. And now this year, May, we'll be married for 6 years. And we have 2 beautiful children together. So how did I manifest perfect love? I'm going to recap the story for those who just joined. I was sick and tired of my own shit. And I surrendered to the will of my higher guidance. I said, I'm done. I'm done doing it my way. It's not working. Have your way. I text everybody in my phone that I was talking to. I said, listen, lose my number. I erased all distractions that no longer serve me. I was preparing myself to receive. I was preparing for the blessing. In my wait time, as the blessing was coming towards me, I was focusing on myself, self-love. Who am I? Getting into things that brought me joy, trying new things like the yoga, learning about breath work, and having fun. That's a very key, important thing when attracting love, because love likes high vibration. So you want to be having fun. You want to be creating your own joy. You want to be enjoying the people around you. You want to put yourself out your comfort zone, trying a new hobby. You need to be some places sometimes, okay? So these were the things that I was doing, attracted my husband. Now, I want to say this because I've been seeing a lot of stuff online that you got to be this perfect woman. Your credit got to be right. You got to be just perfect to attract perfect love. one thing I realized, because I was not perfect, I had just started on my journey of self-love. God sometimes just wants you to start, okay? Just wants to see, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to let go of? How are you going to prepare for your blessing? So if you're not all the way right, sometimes just your desire to change is enough. Okay? So, met my husband, and what I realized about perfect love is we say this scripture all the time, Corinthians 13. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love keeps no record of wrongdoing. And after being married for 6 years, my marriage is all that. And my husband has held a space for me to heal. He's held space for me to get to know myself, to get to really explore who I am. I've been about 7 to 8 different people since we met. When we met, I had long hair, straight, bone straight. I was, just designer everything. I was into just different things. Then I went blonde. Then I cut my hair off. Then I got pregnant. Now, if you're a mother, you know. I was 200 pounds, okay? I had to really get into my trauma. And he was there the whole time, patient, compassionate, loving. He didn't judge me. He didn't expect me to be something, to be anything. He allowed me gave me the space to just explore, to be myself. And so when manifesting perfect love, I saw somebody say, you need to write a list. Writing a list is limiting God, because there are things that Jermaine has and Jermaine gives and offers to me that I didn't know that I needed. So if I wrote a list, I would have been limiting myself so bad. What I did do was write that special affirmation about what I wanted to feel, what I wanted to experience: mutual love, commitment, monogamy, healthy, okay? And he brought all that and more. I didn't think about the package, how he was going to look, what his job was going to be, how much money he was going to make. Because when you surrender with trust, you believe that everything's going to work out for my highest good. God knows exactly what I need and want. And he came tall, dark, and handsome. He came with stability. Okay, he came with creativity. He came with just this patience, this grounding energy that I needed to thrive. And so write down what you want to feel, what you want to experience, and then let the universe work on your behalf. Let it go completely. I didn't go back to my affirmation. I didn't repeat the affirmation. I didn't even remember the affirmation until way after we were already engaged, and I was looking through my journals. I like to just reflect, and I saw it, and I was like, wow. Thank you. Okay. So it's not something that you need to harp on. When you surrender with trust, say what you want from your heart. Give your heart's desires, not your mind desires, your heart desires, and then let go and just be. Just do your work. Whatever you're feeling called to do, whatever you're feeling called to explore, go do that and let love find you. Love has to find you. You can't be out there searching. Then that's too much mind in it. Okay, not enough flow. So, for those of you who just joined, surrender with trust. Release what no longer serves you. Prepare for your blessing. Another example, I'll bring it to the present. I'm preparing for a blessing right now. What does that look like for me? I'm waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm being intentional about the things that I'm saying, about what I'm doing. I'm keeping a mental note every day. Like, okay, how can I show up more? How can I serve others? I'm getting out of my comfort zone. A special affirmation I'll share with you all. I am thriving outside of my comfort zone. That looks like sharing my story more. That looks like telling people how I manifested the perfect love. That looks like sharing more on Instagram and social media for me. That's outside of my comfort zone. What are you willing to let go of? I'm willing to let go of sleep because I'm a Leo and we can sleep 20 hours a day. I love sleep. Okay? I'm willing to put myself in new spaces and speak up for myself. So I'm meeting a whole bunch of new people who's willing to help me on my purpose, who's willing to help me learn new skills. I'm willing to say, I don't know everything. I need help. Okay, so it's important for you to also ask for what you need. Share your story. Now, we get married. And people like to say, all relationships aren't perfect. One thing that I realize is that the relationship itself isn't work. Working on me is the work. And not projecting my stuff onto him is the work. And not blaming him is the work. And not shaming him is the work. And learning how to speak what I want with love and compassion is the work. Not telling him what to do. And one thing I love about him is that he doesn't have any expectations of me. We are friends. We're partners. How can we help each other in this time? Ashe. So continue working on yourself. Continue to be of service. Continue to just have that desire. And ask for help. Have fun. And let love find you. Now, I'm feeling complete. If you have any questions, DM me. If you are looking for more on how to manifest, I have a manifest with my gifts method that breaks down this story that I just told you. And it has worksheets for you to get really clear. Because that's another thing. We're not even clear about what the heart wants. Which is also why we're not manifesting perfect love, because we're manifesting from the mind. So tap into your heart. What do you truly want? After all the experience you had, you know exactly what you don't want. So don't affirm what you don't want. What do you want based on the experiences that you had? What do you want to experience? What do you want to feel in your next relationship? In your marriage? And then let it go. Have fun. Be free and wait. Now, this is very important because divine right timing, I have to talk about divine right timing when talking about manifesting perfect love. And I'm going to give you a little backstory. I was 14 years old in church. My parents, they used to send me to church, but they didn't go to church. And I came home really bothered and sad and afraid of the world ending. That's a big theme. You better get right before the world ends. Motivation by guilt. And I got in the shower and I was praying. 14, can you imagine? 14 years old praying so hard. God, before the world ends, please let me get married and have a baby boy. What? 14 years old? This was my heart's desire. If the world was ending, what would you want to experience? That was my desire at 14. And I went to my dad. I said, Dad, is the world going to end before I get married and have a baby? And my dad, he's so sweet. He said, girl, the world been ending since my grandmother was a child. And that gave me a little bit of peace. And I let it go. And when I look back, it made sense that I manifested. Some women, I was talking to a woman, she's like in her 30s. And she's like, but you got married so young. I was 25 when I got married. And I had to let her know because that was my heart's desire. My heart's desire from the time I was 14 was to get married and have this baby boy. And I did. And a part of that was living in my purpose because my marriage has created a space of healing for me so that I can develop my gifts, so that I can live in my purpose. And so when I looked at her and told her that story, it's just not the right time for you because you have more work to do in your purpose. There's some things that you need to explore. There's some things you need to do that may not align with marriage at this time. But when you surrender with trust and you believe in divine right timing and you expect your blessings and you're preparing yourself for the blessings, you know that it is going to happen. And when it does happen, it's going to be the right time. But we have to be allowing for the manifestation to unfold. You don't want to manifest with force, because when you rush into things, you're going to learn the long way. Okay? So live in your purpose. Focus on what is my heart's desires. What am I here to do? And love is going to find you. You're going to attract love just being yourself, doing your thing, serving others. So I want to encourage you all to focus on, what does your heart really want? How can I live in my purpose? How can I serve others right now? And just have fun. Love will find you in the divine right time where everything is going to unfold perfectly. The fears around your age, the fears around what he looks like, how much money he's making, surrender all that. If you're worried about age, how can you prepare? Eat healthy, work out, keep your body ready, because you never know, the manifestation going to hit you when you least expect it. Okay? So just prepare your mind and your body to be in the receiving mode. Be open to receiving. Don't worry about what it looks like. Just focus on the feeling. And God's going to take care of the rest. And I'm going to tell you right now, better than you can ever expect, okay? For those of you who just joined. My affirmation was, I am in a mutually loving, healthy, committed, monogamous relationship. I let it go. I didn't think about that affirmation again. My entire vision board came true. I didn't have my vision board up on my wall. I put the feeling on paper and I let it go. And just by having fun and focusing on me, love found me. And my marriage has been a healing space, a healing ground for me. When I envision my husband, I envision him standing up strong, 2 feet on the ground, balanced, grounded energy with his arms wide open. And I'm in that space just dancing around, being myself, being free, judgment free. If I made a list about what I needed, I would never have written down that I needed a healing space, that I needed someone that would allow me to be free. I needed someone that didn't have any expectation of what a wife should be. I needed someone who is a great listener. I needed someone who loves himself, who's working on his own self-love. I needed someone who was grounded. I didn't even know nothing about no grounded energy in 2014. But because I'm such a high vibrating, flighty, creative being, that he balances me out and he brings me back down to earth. When we met, he told me, he said, you're going to teach me how to fly and I'm going to teach you how to land. Music to my ears. I didn't know I needed someone that would be able to show me how to land. My husband is an inspiration to me. He's my role model. I never knew I wanted to be married to somebody who I admired and who inspired me to just be more Christ-like. Okay? My husband never been to church a day in his life, but he has a Christ consciousness. I didn't know I needed somebody like that. If I was stuck on somebody who had to be this religion and had to be this way, I would have missed out on this heavenly glory. Somebody who just from the bottom of their heart just moves out of love. Who don't judge. I mean, my husband don't talk about nobody. Oh my goodness. He always moves from a space of just compassion, thoughtfulness. He's just observant. I wouldn't have wrote down that I needed somebody observant if I wrote down a list. So thankfully, without knowing, because this was all unconscious work that I was doing. I was not on the path that I was always on the path, but I was not aware as I am now. That I just wrote down what I was feeling because my plan was not working. The men who I thought were for me, they were not for me. My type was not my type, okay? Not for the woman that I am today. So if you write a list now, you're writing a list for the woman that you are now, okay? God is sending you a man for the woman that you're going to be, all right? So you throw the list out, burn it up. Don't forget about the list. Ashe. So that's my story on how I manifested perfect love. I'm going to save this live. I'm going to put this live up. I'm going to have some workshops so that we can do the work together. Again, I have my manifests with the gifts method. That's the method that I use when I look back on my story and I see how I manifested my perfect love, how I manifested self-love, how I manifested my son, how I manifested my daughter, how I manifested buying a house, how I manifested selling that house, how I manifested the apartment I'm living in because I won the lottery, okay? How I manifested living in my purpose. That method is in the book. Purchase that book at $22.22. And I have a 6-week focus switch challenge starting on Monday, March 1st, where I'm taking 7 women with me to my next level of clarity, confidence, being consistent mentally, physically, spiritually. We work out every day, Monday through Friday, 6 to 6:30. Group coaching. I assign healing work, okay, not homework, healing work. And we build in sisterhood. We build in community. Ashe. So thank you for listening to my TED Talk. And we will be together again soon. Peace, y'all.